Okay, good morning. We're going to be talking about the Marshall Plan. We're going to be talking about Kennedy, why it's important to vote for Kennedy, why you cannot be led by the nose of your fear, like a bull into slaughter. That's how I'm going to open it, because that's what's been going on. So I'm going to wait for more people to come on. I'm going to share the live to my little beautiful. That's how I'm going to open it, because that's what's been going on. So I'm going to wait for more people to come on. I'm going to share the live to my little beautiful. That's how I'm going to open it, because that's what's been going on. So I'm going to wait for more people to come on. I'm going to share the live to my little beautiful. It's good to see you both. Very, very good to see you. Constantine, I haven't seen you in a while. I don't think. Waiting for 9 people. You know my number. So if you can share it, that'd be great. We're going to do an oracle reading after this about the state of our country. We're going to be asking collectively, what should we be doing? What are we doing? And, yeah, so if you could share the live, please share the live. Share the live with people who can benefit. We're going to be talking about Kennedy. There's a talk he just did, and I want to talk about that. Hi, Constantine. It's good. It's good to see you. You have such an unusual name. There's no way I'd forget it, you know? Constantine's not exactly like Joe, you know, or Jim. All right. All right, beautiful. Let me send this to some of my peeps. Bear with me. James, my unicorn man. Hang on for a quick second. All right. Hello, Jennifer. You've got your headset on. Okay. 9 people, my friends. I need 9 people. So if you can do your due diligence in sharing that, because I'm not going to repeat myself. And this is really, really an important talk. Happy Saturday. I almost said Sunday. Happy Saturday. 888 was a portal that kicked some ass. The Lion's Gate is always a gate that makes people exhausted. Hello, my beautiful sister Andromeda Flame. So glad you're here. I may invite you if that's okay at some point, if you like that. Anyone who wants to be invited who I know, like, feel free to raise your hand and I'll do it. But if I don't know you, no offense, I don't want to talk bullshit. Actually never, but especially not today. All right. Anybody can share this live, please do. I'm sorry to beg today, but today I'm actually never, but especially not today. Not today. All right. Not today. All right. Anybody can share this live, please do. I'm sorry to beg today, but anybody can share this live, please do. I'm sorry to beg today, but today if you feel like sharing, share it. I'm not forcing you. You're welcome to be as you are. Try switching. Okay. You guys, can you hear me? Let me know. Okay, we got 4 people. I need 5 more. Only because I don't want to repeat myself. And this is so important. And this will be wonderful day to you all. Thank you, VDRS. You're so sweet. She follows me on YouTube as well. And I'm so grateful for those of you who follow. All these lives go on YouTube, just so you know. All these lives go on YouTube. I'm trying to put some of these on TikTok because now TikTok has they're competing with YouTube and they're doing the 60-minute thing. But I want to kind of separate my lives. I did one that was important, but I'm trying to separate my lives only because of the subject matter I talk about. And people get confused. And yeah, I want to get them to trust me in the twin flame ascension journey so that when I talk about social issues that impact all of us, they're more likely to trust the next step. Does that make sense? And that's why I separate them. There's a strategy behind it. So if you don't see me, putting it here, it's for that reason. I want people to get, oh, this chick knows what she's talking about. Ascension, this, that, reincarnation, karma, twin flames, twin ray, high-level soulmates. What else has she got to say about the 1%? Or what is she saying about that? And it's very important for me to separate them so they can focus on what is their most pain point. Typically, they find me because of their separation with a twin and dynamic. And then once I get them on the pain point, they can trust me. Then they can learn more on how the 1% has fucked us for eons on our ascension. So one more person and we start. Actually, fuck it, let me start. So welcome. We are on the brink of a massive change, the kind of change that you, in many of your incarnation, has prayed to. the kind of changes that brought about stories about Robin Hood that created stories, but that were based on fact. So, by the way, I don't know if you know, Musketeers was based on fact. Robin Hood was based on fact. Stories like that were based on fact because people needed a hero, an anti-establishment hero, and we've always had that. Matrix with Neon. Okay, so here comes. I want you to go on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s page. I want you to follow him. You know, I'm going to tell you something about people that say to me, his voice is so messed up. It just grates my nerves. I just don't want to hear it. Are we that stupid and small-minded that we don't have the patience, the tolerance, the compassion to listen to someone who may have problems with their throat chakra? Maybe because their father was taken out by a bullet. Maybe because of that. Did you ever think of that? That basically his whole life was of fear. You know what I'm saying? His fear of speaking impacted his throat chakra because the Kennedys that did speak out didn't survive. 20 minutes to shower, absolutely. Did not survive. You get that, right? So what would happen if one of the brothers survived and to speak out, which you guys should understand that because you've all been there. You saw Joan of Arc, how she was betrayed by the King of France and she was burned by the British, right? You've seen every witch hunt where people spoke out in the witch hunt. Look at Shirley MacLaine, how she was treated when she came out with the book Out on a Limb. For 10 years, she was hunted like she was an idiot. She was treated like shit. So this is political. This is about the policies that have created a 1% that is so fat and so arrogant and so entitled that there's a massive balance. This was already happening in the 1960s when Kennedy was in office. Look up the speech that got him killed. Literally, that's what it said. It says, YouTube, Kennedy, speech that got him killed. It was a speech he made 3 weeks before he passed. God bless his soul. And one of the things that he was talking about is secret societies, aka Illuminati, APAC. He was trying to, make sure that people understood that this was a lobbyist that was counterproductive to the American public. And I didn't know this, but he had a poverty program in place. The Vietnam War had bankrupted the USA, kind of like what happened with the French when they gave money, all their money, the French aristocracy, Louis XVI, because Marquis de Lafayette had begged him, please give me as much money as you can so we can fight the British, so we can make America independent, kind of like that, which created the French Revolution because of poverty. So, Vietnam, I didn't know this, bankrupted, apparently, America in the 1960s. And so Kennedy, look it up, go on Kennedy's TikTok page. Kennedy was working with Dr. King in coming up with a program it was a poverty program. And he asked Kennedy to bring all the poor people to Washington, D.C. so that they could put a spotlight on poverty because the spotlight, as you know, had been on the Vietnam War, which I don't know if you guys know that. Most of you weren't born when it was happening. I was a little kid. But I remember they would actually show live footage of the Vietnam War. So imagine families sitting down for dinner watching a war on TV. It was happening. Okay, they were seeing footages of it. And this made people aware of what was going on in the Vietnam War to such a level that the hippies took over and started protesting. Kent State was a fucking debacle. Great movie that's based on that fact called The Trial of Billy Jack. Look it up. Trial of Billy Jack came out in the 70s. Based on that, actually. And so I want you to get educated. So here's Kennedy 2024, coming in saying, we have been depleted. And he talks about it. There's a percentage of people that have the lion's share of wealth and the rest is in poverty. And I want to reenact the poverty program that they wanted to bring to pass. And he wants to call it the Marshall Plan for the Forgotten. The Marshall Plan what have we all been talking about? We have been talking about to basically annihilate poverty. How many lives have many of you listened to me say that poverty is by design? How many of you have heard me say that? Please raise your hand. I want, for those who are new to this, new to me, please raise your hands, because I want you to see how poverty has been by design. And I don't know what it is about this Irish family, but they didn't come here because they were on vacation to buy new land. Every Irish that is in this country came because they were running for their fucking lives because of planned genocides and famines. Okay? So there's that reverberation in their DNA, in their memory, and the stories that they've told each other. Grandparents telling them how they came here, why they came here, what happened to those they left behind. And so apparently this Kennedy family, because if you remember John, Kennedy's son, had the magazine George magazine. Remember the cover with Cindy Crawford as George Washington with the wig? That was cover one. I'll never forget. And he had found out who had, taken his father out and why. And he was going to use his magazine to expose why. That's why suddenly, I don't know where, his plane went with his wife and her sister. Remember? They found the bodies. I was there. I was watching it live on CNN. So this shit that he's alive, he's there with Trump. Bullshit. Stop the bullshit. I watched the death of Princess Diana live, where Tom Cruise came on CNN to say, this was before she was officially announced dead. And he was like talking about the paparazzi. And I watched live on CNN as they were dredging the bodies. Unfortunately, I saw his wife's long blonde hair cascading as they pulled her out. I saw it. Okay. So he's not alive, okay? Let's stop that shit. Now, Jackie O, as she was known when she married Onassis for protection, because after that, she was fucking scared. And he was the richest man at the time in the world. Richest European man, I guess. American Western man. I'm going to say Western, because we had a lot of massive Arabic money into the billions. But anyway, and she must have known, because just so you know, the Reagans had 12 astrologers on the payroll. Dixon, I forgot her first name, was one of their top astrologers. This is known, okay? This is known. Every king, every leader that's got a half a brain, including the royal family, had astrologers on the payroll, just so you know, and psychics. Okay. So she knew that he was going to die by plane crash. She knew, and that's why she didn't want him to do it. She didn't want him to get a pilot's license. As soon as she did, what did he do? That's what he did, and that's how he died. Okay, with that said. Now, he was going to expose what had happened to his father and why. This was in the 80s, right? 90s, mid-90s. And so here comes Kennedy 2024, whose voice many of you don't like. And so instead of stepping into the rhythm of how he speaks, because his throat chakras was blocked. Can you understand why it was blocked? Can you wrap your head around that? Because when people say that to you, you can say, his throat chakra is blocked from fucking family trauma, from the fact that he has lost many members of his family for exposing or wanting to expose or change the planet or expose larcenous plans to the public. And something happened to his throat, because he's actually talked about that. And he's sorry. He's actually apologized. I'm really sorry my throat is like that. He's actually apologized. The man has a six-pack. He's in his 70s. What do you want from your president? Do you want him to speak with a mellifluous voice and be an asshole? Or do you want him to make some massive move? So here's what he wants to do. He wants to actually rebuild the most dire parts of America. Detroit, Michigan, some of these places, at this point, California, I'm not kidding. Drive through Sacramento, it's a fucking disgrace. Drive through Berkeley, for Christ's sake. You will be shocked. Drive through San Francisco, it is dangerous. And I don't mean the Tenderloin. I mean Embarcadero Center. I mean Haight-Ashbury. I mean, it's fucking dangerous. I guess you got to go to Pacific Heights to be safe. I'm assuming. The beach, where you would take the NJUDA all the way to the beach is a fucking shit show. When I was a kid, meaning in my 20s, the beach was amazing. The walls were clean. The beach are covered with graffiti. You're more likely to get your car broken into than any other place in California. It's right there in San Francisco. Gary Newsom, courtesy of Gary Newsom and his idiocy since the COVID lockdown. We have been lied to about many things, and I'm not going to VACC. You get that? Just finish what I just wrote, what I just said. We have been lied to about that because now they're saying how it's causing all of these health issues and things of that nature. We've been lied to about many, many things. We've been lied to about the Tuskegee testing of injecting black men, healthy black men, with syphilis, with the lies to their face that it was to heal them, help them. Instead, they took healthy people. Okay, when a government can do that to people, you better fucking think straight. And injecting them with syphilis and watching them perish. And infecting their population, infecting their women, infecting their babies. Here's a man, Kennedy, who has a voice you may not like to hear, but has the words you've been dying to hear for fucking centuries. And I need you to get bold, and I need you to start pushing back. Because you see, the fear of the collective, because God knows they are like bulls led to the slaughter by their nose. Constantly. So think of a bull. What does it look like? It's probably 1,000 pounds or more. It's probably the most incredibly powerful animal that you can imagine, right? In terms of when you look at a bull, it's dangerous when it's fucking mad. We are bulls led by a hook on our nose. And yet we have all the power to refuse, and not just that, to destroy our captors. I mean, it's like, I don't get it. What's wrong with us, right? But what I want you to really look at is the fear that has corrupted the heart chakra of Americans. So now they're looking to vote for, so you've got a whole sector looking to vote for a woman of color, and because she's a woman. It doesn't matter her background. It doesn't matter her lack of integrity. It doesn't matter her fuckery. It doesn't matter that she's not even capable. And the fact that they're connecting with her and these grown-ass women that are in their 30s that should actually, I don't know, pick up a fucking book or, I don't know, Google for a minute, comparing her to Margaret Thatcher as if it's a good thing, as this is a compliment. Like, oh my God, it'll be like having Margaret Thatcher in the White House. Really? I'm not even going to fill in what that means. That's your job to look it up yourself. Do your research. What did Margaret Thatcher do? Why was she known as Bloody Mary? How did she earn that nickname? Do your fucking due diligence. And the other side is the choice of Trump. And businessmen, in particular businessmen and women, are going to vote for him because he's going to make sure that the taxes are more lenient to his small business owners. And also there's the brothers with the white flag type of thing. If you get my, the little white masks, the brothers are behind him also. Okay. And you've got people of color who are literally looking at color, at what's being promised to them. And none of it is true. It's all rhetoric to get more votes. Meanwhile, Kennedy's actually breaking down a program of ending poverty in this country because he knows it's by design, because he's fucking educated, because any idiot actually could figure it out. A 12-year-old could figure it out. Mommy, why are people poor? Why don't they live a house? Mommy, look at all these houses that are empty. Why don't they just refurbish the houses and open them up to the empty, to these homeless people? Because it's by design, kid. It's by design. That's why the house is boarded up. That's why there are houses, churches abandoned, and nothing's been done. It's by design. So here's this man talking about how Dr. Kennedy and RFK was actually looking to do a poverty program. And as he says in the video, please look for the video. Please repost it to everyone you know. He says, you know what happened to Kennedy, and you know what happened to my brother. So there it is. Any questions or comments? Any question? Mothership. Oh, I love that name. Mothership Goddess. How amazing. Let me read your comments. And I wish I knew how to put his photo in the background. I really don't know what the fuck I'm doing, so I'm going to see if my son can help him. Right on. That was so traumatic. Me too. Everything you're saying is exactly as I remember it unfolding. Thank you. Exactly. Yes. So us as the baby boomers, us as the elders, we need to start kicking down some doors with these kids that actually believe in the bullshit called, Kamala. Fuck Kamala. Seriously, right up. And the irony is she's a contemporary of mine, okay? And I lived in San Francisco with with Nick, because he was born and raised in San Francisco, and you, Mayor Willie Brown, and you, Michael Brown, his son, they were running buddies. They were all running around. And she was she was effing Willie Brown and other people. He worked in City Hall, and they all talked about how Kamala was really a free Willie chick to anyone that wanted to lay her, okay? So she fucked her way to the top, just so you know. And so let's get that straight. Okay, there's no integrity in that bitch, none, and you can see it in her eyes. If you guys have any kind of compass, you'll see it in her eyes. There's nothing there. She's Hindu when she wants to. She's black when she wants to. It's just all convenient. It's whenever she wants to. She'll throw on a sari like she'll wear, an African piece of cloth. It's a fucking joke, and I'm really really upset with this population that's being led by their nose. And then you've got these other races of people, white, Asian, whatever, just swaying with where the money's going to be. They're just swaying. Where's the money? Where's the best vote where I will get most of my money? Dude, you don't get it. If this country collapses in 2025 and goes fast, you have no money. So you better vote with your heart and your consciousness and the balance and equitability of wealth. You better vote with your heart. Because if you vote with your monkey mind and your greed, your avarice, and what's best for me, not what's best for the country, not what's best for our veterans who don't have a pot to piss in because you're fucking homeless, because they've been so traumatized by these egoic wars in Iraq, in Vietnam, just Afghanistan. I forgot his name. I think it's something Sebastian. And he wrote the book, A Perfect Storm, the movie. Many of you saw the movie, A Perfect Storm. Okay, well, he went to Afghanistan and wrote a book about it. He couldn't fucking believe that war in Afghanistan. It is probably the worst thing you can do to a human being is have them fight that one. Because that one, they were muzzled. They were absolutely muzzled to help people, to break up things that were horrible. LA Times did an article. I can't speak of it here because I will be shut down. LA Times did an article series of 1 week. In those days, they would do it, a 1 week expose on the fuckery of certain systems. And they did one on Afghanistan. And some of the things these soldiers had to see, you wouldn't want your worst enemy to witness. And they were told to stand down. Very similar to Vietnam. But the difference between Vietnam is it was moist, humid, this, that. There, you didn't even know you were sweating. You didn't even know you were dehydrated. So you were dealing with vertigo. You were dealing with not enough water. You weren't, in other words, he said he lost like 40 pounds. And he didn't do anything different in his mind. So it was a physically traumatic war. So it was a somatically traumatic war, not just spiritually, not just mentally, emotionally, but somatically. So we have the VA, which, by the way, is a joke. And I know this for a fact because I have people who have gone to the VA who don't get the care they need. And my husband's aunt was a VA nurse during the AIDS epidemic in San Francisco in the 80s. So it's not like I don't know. We all lived in a communal family house in San Francisco, and I used to hear stories, and I couldn't fucking believe it. And that was in the 80s. So don't think that 80s was such a great time. It fucking wasn't, okay? On the side note. It never has been. The potential for this country to be extraordinary is so there. The hot breath of that truth is on our necks. But if we sway to fear and we are going to go through the lesser of two evils, as we have always done, and here we are with the fuckery of those decisions, then expect nothing in the next 25 years. Expect nothing. Expect the preppers to be right. Let's put it that way. How's that? Yeah, doomsday moment. Yes. Because it can't fix itself. We need a fucking plan. Not a little Band-Aid. A real fucking plan, like what happened with the New Deal on the heels of the Depression. We need something like that. And that's what he's talking about. Something, he's not calling it the New Deal because a lot of you either have been taught that the New Deal was shit, or that that this was the worst president to ever put this together. But to be honest with you, the reason why we have freeways is because of the New Deal. It took people literally out of eating the soles of their shoes, which Charlie Chaplin did a movie on that, where you're seeing a scene where they're so poor, and it was actually happening. The soles of their shoes. Because in those days, the soles of their shoes was made of leather. You're seeing kids eating grass, right? In that part of the world where the blue and white team has bankrupted our fucking country with their fuckery and their greed and their evil. They don't give a fuck about us. So here's Kennedy coming in out of retirement. The man's in his 70s. I don't feel like he wants another $100 million in his account. I do feel that Trump wants to make sure that he leaves his legacy to his family of a power dominion. I do feel that, and he showed us that in the last time he was in the office when he actually had his daughter, I didn't vote for her, did you? And his son-in-law in the cabinet. I hope you remember that. And I don't know if you remember, but Ivanka was being blackballed by all kinds of women all over the country, refusing to buy her because she used to have her label of handbags, clothes. I don't even fucking know what she was selling. But they basically banned her stuff and stopped buying it, and she had to close some of her businesses. Do you guys remember that? Because they were in the White House directing policies with Trump. Because of it. Do you remember that? So when you look at Kamala, we went from basically El Cid in the form of Biden. People are trying to figure out, do you know the story of El Cid? I'm serious, man. Please do your research. El Cid is a joke. El Cid was a warrior. He was Spanish, and he had a connection with the Arabs, the Moors, that had held Spain, Italy, France for 500 years. So most of these people, well, all of these people have Moorish blood in their bloodlines. The high cheekbones, the desert eyes, it's because of the Moorish. They were there for 500 years. You should know this in your history. And El Cid had died. But they knew that they needed him as a leader, or else the war-weary soldiers would give up. Okay, so they put him on a horse, and he was strapped to it. He'd been dead for like 3 or 4 days. And they literally let the forces of the Spanish army see him, right? And they applauded, and they went back into battle to push the Moors out. So here's El Cid, Biden. We don't know if it's Biden. Is he 6'2"? Is he 5'11"? Whatever. The point is, the man was bumping into walls. It was like Mr. Magoo in the White House, okay? And here we have Mr. Magoo, and now finally he stepped down because they knew that they couldn't bring Mr. Magoo to the next 4 years because no one's going to buy Mr. Magoo. If you don't know that cartoon, look it up. And now we have Kamala with a guy who looks like he delivers milk in the 1950s. Okay, so we're fucked, don't you think? So maybe we are being asked by the universe to actually make a third-party choice. In other words, saying, I do not choose this anymore. Oh my God, I'm going to tell you an Akashic reading I just had yesterday. Akashic reading. Listen to the story, because it's a parable to what we're dealing with right now. So I had a download of a woman with a past life in prehistoric ice age. And she was living in a cave dwelling with other people. And there was a shaman who was just sooted faced and dirty teeth. And there was some cannibalism. All kinds of weird crap was going on in that prehistoric tribe. And there was evil. There was a caste system. And she had a 9-year-old and a 3-year-old, a baby, like a toddler. And she was dressed in skins, as were her children, furs. And one day she stepped out of the cave to look out to the horizon, and there was just snow covered everywhere. And she thought, I can't do any more with this. This structure, this system, this caste system, this oppression, this subjugation of this evilness that surrounds me, it is not part of me. It is not who I am. And so I really don't care. I'm looking at the horizon of snow. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm getting the fuck out of here. And she did. And for days and days, she walked with her children. There was no covering. Sometimes she'd find a small cave, like a small burrow, and she would hide there while there were storms of snow. And she ate from meat that she had taken with her, dried meat, that she would let her children eat and take bites of it and eat the snow. And finally, as she walked, something happened where she walked through a forest, and met into a tribe of people that were kind. And it's almost like she must have crossed through the tundras, through the snow, through the ice, highways, if you will, for the lack of a better way of expressing it, found her way out of an ice age into something that was more tropical. And suddenly there she was with the ocean and a forest behind her. And she felt freedom and a tribe of people where there was no infrastructure, no bullshit. This was not a parable, because there were other things I said to her in the Akashic reading, and she was confirming it. So my point is this: we're there. We're at the ice age, and we are no longer going to be subjugated. And we are on the threshold of leaving that cave of larcenous hearts. And we are looking at something. We are looking at the unknown, and it's frightening. And it could cause us our lives, right? It could cause us all kinds of things. It could cause us to lose a vote. Yeah, absolutely. But we are more likely to find something out there that is better than what is behind us, which is oppression and fear and evil. And so we need to have faith. And when you have faith with the universe, the way the universe works, and I've done this since my 40s, the minute I decided to stop being a good girl and stop doing what was common sense and listening to the rhetoric of what it is to do the right thing, because that's more logical than this, because Tony, that's not logical. Well, the minute I became illogical, meaning I allowed my heart chakra, my desires, my passions to lead the way, right? With a fear, in other words, jumping into the mosh pit of fear and making fear my ally. That's when my life started becoming the life of color, the life of passion, the life that I wanted. This is when I went into union with my twin, things of that nature. My point is this: we need to start talking to people everywhere about Kennedy and his program. And he has a fucking plan. The other thing he wants to do is put our currency, the coffers. I don't know how to put it into words. I'm not politically, scientifically educated, but I have fucking common sense. The monies that this government moves monies to, being okay with writing billions of fucking dollars to the white and blue flags that are fucking failing still, and have basically destroyed a whole generation of men and amputated a whole generation of kids. Fun things like that, right? Because that's what we want to do with our money, right? Instead of fucking feeding the homeless and housing the homeless and sending $100,000 check to all of us so that we can actually get something done and buy a house or build a house or pay our debts, or I don't know, what an idea, not going back to work after battling a mastectomy or a brain cancer. Do you understand that people have to go back to work within a week after going through chemotherapy treatments because there's no money for them to fucking just lick their wounds and figure their fucking life out? Do you understand that's not normal? It's not normal to have a woman give birth to her child and being forced to go back to work after 2 weeks of giving birth. It is not normal. We wouldn't do that with a dog. It would be called that the breeder is unconscionable. To send the dog, the puppy, out to being sold or bought or adopted, whatever, less than 9 weeks, 10 weeks. It's actually 12. But we're doing that with human beings, with women. If you have cancer and you're surviving cancer, you shouldn't be going back to work. You need 6 months to just figure your shit out. My God, I got cancer. Thank God. God bless me. I'm in remission. Oh my God. Let me go to France. Let me go to Lisbon. Let me go to wherever. Bali, Taiwan. I don't care. Let me go somewhere. Let me lick my wounds. Let me figure myself out. Let me journal. Let me take walks. Let me rest. Let me read. Let me meditate. Let me learn new things. And then I can go back to work. But that's not what we're giving people. And so Kennedy has got a plan to reset. And we've been talking about the reset, not the reset for the 1%, the reset for the 99%. That's what we need. Do you understand? It's not utopian. It's a balance of wealth. And when we have billionaires to the tune of 177 billion, to the tune of 120 billion, billion. And they're doing nothing for you or me, or most importantly, homeless. Fuck me and you, because we figured it out, right? For a minute. The ER, the SOS, the triage system is we have to go to the streets right now and help people who are homeless and taking drugs just to make it happen. Would you really want to be dead clear sober, homeless, some of them not even having a tent, but a flea infested couch, maggot infested whatever couch? I saw it in Wilshire Boulevard, in almost edging into what would be what you would consider a good part of Wilshire Boulevard, which was Montana Avenue. When I left California in 2014, everything was beautiful. It was fucking beautiful. I went to New York, lived in upstate New York, came back in 2018, saw billboards of pot cannabis going, wow, this is really cool. Wow, hello. And then I saw, as I went into Montana Avenue, you remember Montana, O.J. Simpson, Brentwood. Okay. Walked in and I couldn't, my mom's beautiful, expensive apartment. And I looked, there were couches, fucking couches, and homeless people sleeping right there on the street. Okay. That was 2018. My shaman came to California, British woman, and said, let's pray for the homeless people. This was 2018. If she saw the homelessness today in California, she would sob. It's an absolute disgrace, and Kennedy knows it. Kennedy's not, he's like the prince and the pauper, meaning here comes the prince going in incognito among the populace, the plebs, to see what's happening, while all of these other people, Kamala, Biden, Trump, his entire family, fly in helicopters above the chaos, fly in their private jets above the chaos. And Kennedy quite clearly has walked among the people, unbeknownst to many of us, quietly. Okay? So the fact that his voice, throat chakra box, is riddled with trauma and probably unshed tears, because as we teach our men not to cry, like, we women teach that. Okay, let's take it for what it is. And we have a man who wants to be of service to this country, who might have another, maybe if he's lucky, 10 years. If he's very lucky, 10 years to live. Maybe 15, maybe 20. But for the next 4 years, he wants to roll up his sleeves. And you know how presidents get gray. Now, what was funny about Trump? He never got gray. What's funny about Biden? He was a fucking dinosaur from the giddy up. You can tell who goes. I remember Clinton, no matter what you think, and I think he is, he's got some massive problems, don't get me wrong, but I remember watching him age, and it was unbelievable. I watched Obama age, no matter, and I don't believe in Obama's policy. I hate fucking the Obamacare system. It's shit. It's shit. But I will say this. They must have been working because they were going gray, and you know what I mean. They were going gray, okay? And they were looking gaunt, so they weren't fucking sleeping. And I'm not sure what the fuck they were doing, because here we are. So here's a 70-plus-year-old man looking to do this. And people are making comments, I just don't like the sound of his voice. I just don't like the sound. Why don't you explain it to them why his voice is like that? Because everyone he loved is no longer alive because of clear, nefarious activities by you-know-what. By parts of our system within our own government that decided that they were expandable, clearly. Okay? So let's just say it like it is. Didn't Kennedy sleep on the streets for experience? I don't know. But I know that Richard Gere did. I know that Richard Gere went out on the streets and slept and acted like he was homeless, and he couldn't believe how we dehumanize the homeless population. I have been seeing homeless people since I was 22. I want to cry. I remember in San Francisco, I lived on Haight-Ashbury, what is called Cole Valley, a.k.a. Cole Street and Haight-Ashbury. Those of you who know. And I'll never forget seeing a woman with her 2 kids on the street, no drugs. And who cares if there were drugs? Who the fuck are we to fucking, judge that? But anyway, no drugs. And I gave her $20. $20 in the 80s, my friend, was a lot of money. Okay, $20 was $100 today. And the next thing I knew, when I came back from my little errands on Haight-Ashbury, blah, blah, as I saw her sitting down, because there was a burrito shop down the street, really great burrito shop. And she was sitting there, and each of her kids, including herself, had a burrito, and they were eating on the street. And so we need to do better, okay? We need to do better, because I'm not new to feeding homeless people, giving them money, giving them water. I've been doing that since my 20s. I'm 62. I'm fucking sick of that shit. Not because I don't want to do it, don't get me wrong, but I will never give a dime to the Red Cross. I will never give my blood, nothing to the Red Cross. The Red Cross knows what's going on. They know what's going on. There was an Ebola virus going on in Zaire in 1996, thereabouts. I might be wrong by the year. I worked at Bank of America, and I went to the president of Bank of America, business banking, and said, "Here's an article. They need a oh fuck, I forgot the word they needed. A generator. They need a generator because they're losing power." And I don't know if you've ever studied Ebola. You don't have to study for long. It's the most horrific disease you can. It's contagious as fuck. It's dangerous as fuck, and it sends people into a panic. Okay, but these doctors were sitting there trying to save people's lives. Okay, and so I said they need a generator. It's in the LA Times. They did an article. Blah blah blah. So I called Red Cross Washington. And I spoke to one of the head people, and I said, so there's the article. I can fax it to you. They need a generator. This is the phone number. And I don't know if the phone number even works because without electricity, there's no phone. But remember, these were landlines only in those days. And what their answer was? Well, we really appreciate your concern. We really do. But they need to contact us directly and tell us that they need a generator. I went, wait, hang on. Are you kidding? I just told you we're looking to do a fundraiser to get the money, and I'd like you to become like the proxy to helping us get the money together. We're going to open an account for this, and we'd like you to help us facilitate sending a generator to Zaire, and we're trying to do it ASAP. Can you help us? Well, until they contact us to let us know they need a generator, we cannot get involved. Click. I told my bank president, he couldn't fucking believe it. Couldn't fucking believe it. So I wouldn't give a dime because these guys are making 100,000. I don't know how much the top people are making. You may want to look up their salary, but that's not normal. Okay? It's not normal. So many of us have incredible compassion for the human experience and homelessness. Many of us really help homeless people. We do give money. We do give food. We do buy food for them. We come out of the supermarkets with sandwiches and water and maybe a treat for their children, like cookies, whatever, right? To brighten up their eyes and so forth, because we can't take them in. We don't have the space, or we can't do it all, right? But we've done our parts. But this has been going on in my experience since the 80s. Don't you think that what Kennedy is proposing as a roll up the sleeves, let's get this country back on its feet, the most important agenda that a president could offer us at this point right now in this history of this country's, as we fall to our knees? Do we need to fall to our faces and make the preppers right? Because that's what's going to happen if this continues. If the fall continues, all the preppers will be grinning from ear to ear, feeling as if they were right all along. They're salivating to create that world. Don't you see? They want that world, and we don't. We want the new earth, and the world that we want doesn't just create itself. It's not a magical, abracadabra that suddenly here we are in 5D new earth. It starts with programs like this. It's a slow moving Knight of Pentacles energy, meaning a slow moving gold coin is coming to our periphery, and we're going to go for the okie doke. We're going to go for the lesser of two evils based on our own fear that we've never had a third party win. There's a lot of things we've never had. There was a time when we never had women vote. There was a time when we never had black people sitting at a table with white people in restaurants publicly in this country, though it was happening in Europe. There was a lot of we've never before. That doesn't mean that we don't change the course of history because we've never had that before. We've never done that before. We are being asked to be brave and to have faith and to be passionate in our resolve to see a leader bring a program to literally rebuild this country from the fucking ground up. A new foundation has to be poured, and it has to be based on a balance of wealth. It has to be. And you may say, well, a lot of companies are going to close and leave. They already have, my friends. They're all manufacturing shit in China. Come on, wake up. It can't get any worse than this. Actually, it can. But if it does, I can tell you, people like me aren't fucking staying. I'm not going to stay here. And if it gets to that point, because I'm not going to be rubbing shoulders with preppers, I can tell you that. At least not here. I don't trust the integrity of people that think like that. I don't trust them. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments? Who wants to come on? Any questions or comments? Hello, hello. Yes, okay, so I need to hang on for. Oh. Yes, okay, so I need to hang on for now. Please take it away, my love. Bring some sense to what I'm saying because I think I'm too much.
Hi. Well, observing from this side of the Atlantic, bearing in mind that I don't have a vote in your election, but what I see is a man who is bringing much needed compassion to the political arena, and a compassion which is not superficial, right? It's not merely platitudes. He's actually coming from a position where his family members who are no longer with us actually had projects, had plans to end division. Because remember, poverty is just another thing that divides us.
Yep.
And the Kennedy agenda, from from what I can see, from listening to John Kennedy, from listening to Robert Kennedy Sr., listening to Robert Kennedy Jr., the whole agenda has been about bringing an end to division, whether that's racial, gender, or economic.
Yeah.
Um, and how refreshing is it that a presidential candidate has actually mentioned the 1%,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yep.
and unfortunately, this is what makes the Kennedys dangerous.
Yep.
You said something earlier, right, um, about him having seen inequality, but I also think it's something that is built into the DNA and the psyche of a lot of people of Irish descent,
Yep.
because we have seen injustice up close and personal for 800 years. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when this Kennedy family, I don't know when they emigrated from Ireland, but
Yeah.
the majority of people who came to America came between the mid 19th century and the early 20th century, including my godfather.
Mm-hmm.
My godfather was born in Belfast in the early 20th century. And in the early 1920s, he and his family were burnt out of their homes as because they were Catholics.
Yeah.
The Catholics were not welcome in the north of Ireland, and they emigrated to America and
Yeah.
and settled in New York City.
Wow.
Um, and that, and as you know, Tony, he was a poet
Yeah.
by profession,
Yeah.
and through his writings, you can see that deep, tortured anguish of
Mhm.
witnessing continued injustice
Yep.
when we should know better. And it's the same anguish and determination that I see in Robert Kennedy.
Yep. I
Um,
do.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not kidding. Mention the throat chakra because you really have dealt. You've gone down the rabbit hole of chakras. So explain to them about the throat chakra because you guys need to listen to this man. I'm sorry. Get over yourself, okay? You would never have the mendacity to do that to someone who was a coin who had a disability. Okay, see it as a disability. We had one of the great presidents who was in a wheelchair due to polio. So I mean, let's wake up, okay? Let's look at the content of the character and not the color of their skin, not what they look like, not what they sound like, but what they say and what they see, what you see in their eyes. Please take it away with that, please.
yeah. I mean, what an idea to actually listen to what is said rather than the sounds that are coming out of his mouth. And his throat chakra. Remember,
Thank
the
you.
throat chakra doesn't just store trauma from this lifetime, but it stores generational trauma. It stores past life trauma. And
Mhm.
the generational trauma which the Kennedy family has experienced is significant.
Yes.
Imagine being a child when your uncle and your father
Yes.
are unalived and lied about,
Yes.
and the identity and the motives of their killers are lied about.
Yeah.
And you have to keep your mouth shut because you know
Yeah.
that if you speak your truth, you could end up the same way.
Yep.
One of the most damaging things to the throat chakra, one of the reasons a lot of us have problems with our throat chakras, is because we were persecuted for speaking our truth,
Yeah.
and it encourages you not to. So there's a massive legacy, a massive wound of the consequences of speaking your truth in his immediate family. So it's no surprise that his throat chakra is a little bit closed off.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny too because I have a feeling it's a past life stuff. Oh, by the way, I apologize for calling him brothers, but I feel as if these men have been playing out some of this shit. It feels like Hamlet to me. It feels like ancient things that are coming back again. They're playing it out again. Do you know what I'm saying? With this energy, like I was talking to Andromeda, right? We were talking about Marilyn Monroe and the love affair
Yes.
that they had, right? And what did I say? I said they were probably twin flames. On a side note, okay? And there's all kinds of stories told. One of the stories is that Robert and not John, but Robert was there and wrestling her down and all kind like things that we don't know. But I'll tell you this: how she passed and what she wanted to expose, because she didn't die of self of suicide. That's we. I think anybody with a half brain knows she didn't do that. But she was definitely taken out. And the question is why, right? And and that's really the question. That's the only question we should be asking ourselves. And what was the dynamics? And we were so focused on him having an affair with another woman, and not really looking at the situation in those days. Men had, I mean, when he married Jackie, what was her name? I forgot. Bouvier, Jacqueline Bouvier. That was her maiden name. When he married Jacqueline Bouvier, it was almost like an arranged marriage. Actually, she
Yes.
had all the pedigree he needed, and she looked the part. And his father was very much involved in this. Their father was like the patriarch. There's no doubt. And there was a bit of. I hate to say it, but manipulation in the father. But he had great sons. I don't know how he fucking did it. It must have been the mother, but or a combination of whatever. But when I look at this story, when you look at Jackie Kennedy, and you look at the actual incident as he's being murdered, right, on the in Texas, and she's literally climbing out of a fucking car. Okay, can you imagine? And for her life, and then being almost told to go back in the seat. I don't know if you, she's like panicking, right? And what's the next thing she does? She marries Onassis very soon. I mean, it's pretty soon after, right? Not she didn't. It's not a 10-year window. It's pretty soon after, for protection, because she didn't have the money for protection and to protect her children. That's why she did. He was a multi-millionaire. And we look at Marilyn Monroe, and here is real love and a real connection, and something was there, but it was misunderstood. And Kennedy had other things to really focus on besides, sex. So she was. It's almost like she was a side chick, but there was definitely a connection. You can tell. I mean, it's very strong, and I think people were too much in concentration on his affair than the business of him trying to bring balance to the country's economy and to its people. But when you look at the speech and look it up, it says Kennedy, the speech that got him KILLD, just in case they're listening to me now, look it up, because what he says is mind blowing. And don't look up the 7 minute, look up the whole speech. It's about 13 or 14 minutes long. Listen to it. He's talking about secret societies. He's talking about dismantling certain things. And he's very clear on those secret societies. Okay? And within 3 weeks, he was gone. And so I feel as if some of this could be in Atlanta. And I'm sorry, political, spiritual, to me, there's no difference. This feels like something that would have played out in the Atlantean period. This feels like it got played out in like another like part of history, probably 2, 3, 4,000 years after Atlantean fell. It feels like it's being played out again today, and I hope to God we don't fuck up and fail, and we get Trump or Kamala. I hope to God, because if that happens, I'm packing my fucking bags. I'm done. I'll turn my back. I will not live in a country where its citizens don't have fucking power and courage and tenacity and passion. I won't. I'd rather, and I told Andromeda, haven't I told you? I'd rather live in Ireland. At
Yep.
least they fucking don't take any bullshit. At least they fight for their freedom. At least they're waving flags of unity. At least they have the hearts of poets and the might of lions. But I will not live, who gives a shit where I live? What I care about is what happens to this country. I never thought I'd say, but I'm a fucking patriot, or else I wouldn't be doing these lives. I'd be just, yeah, let's do numerology. Let's talk about tarot. Let's talk about twin flames. Oh, yes, honey, John's coming back to you, baby. It's $5. Please Venmo me the $5 and I'll pull a card for you. That'd be my lives. Do you understand? So I'm doing it to help. I'm not getting anything. In fact, quite frankly, this harms my business aspect. But I'm more interested in seeing a country when I'm long dead that is thriving, and finally the Hopi prophecy of the rainbow children bringing beauty and oh my God, just creativity to its land. I want that for you guys. I want that for my children, my grandchildren. I want that. So, if you could break it down in terms of the throat chakra, go farther, go deeper, please, if you don't mind. They need to understand, and I need you to remember what she says so you can repeat it to people and shame them into listening to him. Shame them. How dare you? Well, oh, you don't like his throat? You don't like what he sounds like? Well, here's the cause. So if you could break it down further, if you don't mind, the mechanics of the chakras.
Yeah. So each of our chakras, or Joe Dispenza calls them energy centers, right?
Mhm.
The basically our energy body, and in order to maintain the chakras, we need certain things. Okay. And you can develop the health of your own chakras while living in this situation, but it's not easy. And if you're not aware of your chakras, then the external environment and things which happen to you will impact on your chakras. So let's go bottom to top. All right.
Yes.
The the sense of insecurity, the chronic precarity that we live in this ultra capitalist society, that will damage your root chakra, because your root chakra is about your primal needs for food, for safety, for connection, for sex. That is what your root chakra is all about. So if you're deprived of those, and you're deprived of those through insecurity or loneliness or destitution, or the threat of destitution, then that will affect your root chakra. Move up to the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is all about your sensuality and your creativity. Well, of course, creative people are often labeled as neurodivergent, and they are marginalized from society, and there's a fear about being creative. You often hear about children who are creative, who have those urges and those talents suppressed by parents who want them to, in quotation marks, do well and do a more traditional profession, and therefore their creativity is crushed at a very young age. Without understanding the chakras, that will damage your sacral chakra. Move up to the Hara chakra around your belly button. Well, that's a chakra of connection, of unity consciousness, and unconditional love. It's also called the womb chakra. Now, you can imagine how much trauma, how much generational trauma is stored in the womb chakra. But beyond that, we are continually made to feel separate. I am separate from you because of the color of our skin. I am separate to you because we observe a different religion. I am separate to you because I live on this end of town and you live on that end of town. I am separate to you because I am richer or poorer than you.
Yeah.
And that damages your Hara chakra up to the solar plexus. Your solar plexus is predominantly about self-belief, courage, walking with integrity.
Right.
And we're always being told not to believe in ourselves,
Yeah.
right? You'll hear, the likes of I suppose Andrew Tate, for example, okay, talking about self-belief, but that comes from such a toxic place and from such a place of lack that that is not true self-belief. True self-belief is walking in your power, understanding it and using it in a benevolent way. So being told that you will never amount to nothing, right? How many kids in schools have been told that they're never going to get to university, they're never going to amount to anything because they're supposedly disruptive in class, for example. All of that feeds in and damages your solar plexus. Now up to the heart chakra. And in your heart chakra, any heartbreak, any separation, any humiliation, that will all damage your heart chakra. I don't need to tell you what the heart chakra is about. Of course, it's about love, but it's also about self-love. So if you have had instances where you have sought external validation in order to justify your self-love, or you've had significant heartbreak, grief, all of that damages your heart chakra. Very similar to the high heart chakra. And this is where a lot of past life trauma is stored. The high heart chakra is all about unconditional love, and we are continually fed this narrative that love is dangerous, right? That loving someone too much is unsafe, and that will damage your high heart. Now, in Robert Kennedy's case, we go up to the throat chakra. The throat chakra is about expression, and it's not just speaking, but it's expressing and expressing integrity, and also recognizing the expressions of integrity in others. When you lie, or when you feel that you're forced into a situation which diminishes your ability to express your integrity, that will damage your throat chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And healing your throat chakra is not just about sitting there and chanting Om, right? It's about practicing it. It's about speaking your truth. And the throat chakra is one of the places where you will store a lot of that past life and generational trauma. And this is because um, if you were persecuted as a heretic, or you were persecuted as a witch, right, or you were persecuted for being a political dissident. All of these examples of how you were punished for speaking your truth, for attempting to express with integrity,
Mm-hmm.
all of this will be stored in your throat chakra, and your throat chakra will be damaged. In Robert Kennedy's case, he saw that attempting to bring integrity into politics, how that ended for his uncle and his father.
Yep.
He saw that them speaking the truth to power and about power,
Mm-hmm.
ultimately resulted in their demise and ultimate silencing.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a massive trauma there, and I don't know how long it would have taken Robert Kennedy Jr. to have actually been, I wouldn't say comfortable, because I don't think he is comfortable with anything about the current situation. But I don't know when he decided that he was going to abandon that trauma and step into his own truth and his own power. And he's done
Mm-hmm.
so beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
But the residual wound you can hear in his voice.
You can. He's a yeah. So he's the flea that jumped out of the jar. Yes. So I'm going to talk to you about a book called "I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing," which I read when I was 14, whatever, and by Maya Angelou. So this is about a little girl. This is a true story of, and she had a trauma. A grape, since we have to use the word of a fruit to again describe something that traumatic. A grape. She was raped as a child, and something happened where she quite rightly so told people who had done it, and the person ended their life was ended, or something like that, I believe. And she ended up being mute. She refused to speak. because she felt that her voice could destroy people. So when Kennedy saw his uncle and his father get assassinated, and then when he saw his what would have been his cousin John, okay, with George Magazine, just to put some context, and die, and we all knew, by the way, just so you know, just in case you don't think, we all knew when it happened, just like Princess Diana, we all knew the fuckery of the setup. We all knew this was just so convenient, okay, because John was set to run. They were priming him and prepping him, the Democratic Party, to run on the Democratic ticket. We all knew that. And when he didn't make it, we knew. We knew. It was just too convenient. Okay? And people will say, well, it was the weather, it was this, it was that. No. Something happened. And I can't prove it, but whatever. So in the book, if you've ever read the book on I Know Why the Caged Birds Sing, that was what put her on the map, by the way, on the side note. But she was mute for years. She would not talk. So the throat chakra, for many of you are muzzle line. And muzzle line means you're a lion, but you have been muzzled. It's almost like somebody put tape on your mouth and you cannot roar your truth. And so for him to, because I feel like they're playing out some stuff from past lives. I feel it very, very viscerally. And I do feel it has a point in Atlantis, Andromeda. I really do. I feel as if the same players are coming back. All of us are the same players. We were either witnessing on the other side, we were on boots on the ground in Atlantis when a lot of the factions were playing these weird ass games, right? That put us into the deluge. But the point I'm trying to make is that for Robert, for this man to struggle, do you understand? When he's speaking, he's struggling. You can hear the cracks and it's almost like it's a wave going up and down in his speech pattern. Don't lean back, lean in and hear what he's saying, because his plans are sound. He's looking to put the country's currency, that's what I was trying to find, the country's currency into blockchain so that all of us can see how the money's being spent and where it's going. Did you know that? So so Kamala, one of my clients was saying, well, I really want to find out what she's going to do about Bitcoin, about cryptocurrency, and how she's going to go with the, this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, BlackRock is buying the lion's share, maybe to tank it, just on the side note, maybe to tank it purposely, okay? Because there are people literally walking around with 50 million, 20 million, 10 million, whatever, in their phone. Okay, meaning they've got portable wealth. They can go jump on planes anywhere in the world, and they got 10 million in that back pocket in the app. Do you get what I'm saying? The power that many of us have created for ourselves. We don't have to fucking transfer fund and tell anyone how much we're worth anymore. That's what crypto is all about. There's a freedom to that. So because it's transparent, he wants to put it on blockchain. That's massive. The man's brilliant. Do you understand? He's fucking brilliant. Trump doesn't do this shit for himself. He has probably his son-in-law doing it, or their little assistant doing it, and moving money here and there. But do you understand what this man wants to do? He wants to eradicate poverty in America, which is doable, very doable. He wants to make the country's currency transparent so we can see what's going on. So we're not looking at toilet seats being sold for $16,000, which is what was going on in the 80s. This is a fact. He wants money to be used, fairly, judiciously, carefully, in the right sectors. And it is going to be a triage system. I'm sure he already knows what cities, what towns he wants to hit first to rebuild. Because and he's talking about, in his video, he's talking about how there are a huge amount of poor people who have been ignored. There's a massive drug problem, and you know it. You're seeing it on the streets. Would you be able to be homeless this long, sober? Come on now, come on. So we're looking at problems that is destroying the very heartbeat of this country. It's serious. Meanwhile, Trump and Kamala, they just want your fucking money. They just want you to donate. They're promising you're being breadcrumbed by massive narcissists. Please wake up. Do you want to add anything, or do you have any other?
No, I just while you were talking, I was just seeing what happened to John Kennedy
Mm-hmm.
and the aftermath. And there's a famous an account of Jackie Kennedy. She was taken back to the White House from Dallas
Mm-hmm.
um, after the autopsy, and of course she was not allowed to be present. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she refused to take off the suit, the bloodstained
Oh,
suit, because
yeah.
she wanted them to see, and she was forced to stand there while Lyndon Baines Johnson was sworn in.
Yeah.
He insisted on being sworn in before he went on Air Force One. So this was within hours of the
Mm-hmm.
assassination. He insisted on being sworn in as president, and of course, from then, the what was the famous chant, LBJ, LBJ, right? With the Vietnam War, and the Vietnam War started in earnest with Lyndon B. Johnson. They wanted a Texan in the White House. That was one of the motivations. And that whole period, that whole incident,
Mm-hmm.
it calls into question for those people who are still under the illusion that these systems have any integrity. Once you start going down the rabbit hole
Mm-hmm.
of the Kennedy assassinations, you start to realize that these systems have no integrity at all.
No,
That the whole thing is about feathering certain nests. The whole thing is about protecting vested interests
the
and
1%.
the
That's it.
1%. And it's
Yeah.
not a conspiracy because this actually happened. And if you haven't read anything about Jim Garrison, Jim Garrison was the district attorney of New Orleans at the time of the assassination. He is the only person to have brought a trial in the Kennedy assassination, and he tried a man called Clay Shaw. Clay Shaw was a prominent businessman in New Orleans, who actually was involved in the same circles as Lee Harvey Oswald,
Mm-hmm.
funnily enough. Um, and it was denied and denied and denied that Clay Shaw had anything to do with it. And of course, Jim Garrison lost the trial, and Clay Shaw was exonerated. After Clay Shaw's death, the CIA admitted that he was one of their operatives. So,
Wow.
like, none of this is conspiracy, right? And
Yeah.
the, to think that that children saw
Yeah.
that.
Yes. And saw because I saw the autopsy, the video. I actually saw it, and it's shocking. You guys should see it. You should see it because when you see someone who has been destroyed like that, that's a massive fucking hate going at one person. Massive hate, and it's hate from a group of I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm just gonna say he wanted to dismantle the CIA. He did. Okay. And meanwhile, there was all these what you call it distractions with the moon landing and shit like that that started that happened, and because everyone was excited about what NASA was going to do and so forth, right? This was like years later. But my point is, the populace has been distracted with bullshit for so long to raise a false arrogance, okay, in the energy, the vibration of Americans. Now we're looking at the director. What was his name? White Eyes Wide Shut. Oh fuck! What was his name? I'm trying to remember the director's name.
Kubrick, was that Kubrick?
Kubrick. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had when he did Eyes Wide Shut, which was really about the Illuminati, okay, which was really about these secret societies that Kennedy was talking about. So he did Eyes Wide Shut because being Kubrick, he had been privy to this shit. Of course, it's a world, especially in Europe, especially in France. I'm gonna be just straight up with you guys, okay? And there were like 20, I think it was 20 or 30 minutes of video they cut out. Now, his contracts in all movies that he directed was that he got final cut. Final cut. Okay, they couldn't touch his shit. This is known, by the way. And within days after the movie was finished in the can, suddenly out of nowhere, he kind of like passed away. Died. And of course they cut 30 minutes out of it. And what were those 30 minutes? Where are they? They're probably permanently destroyed, or maybe somebody had the good sense of putting it aside, hiding it. I don't know. But the point is, what were those 30 minutes? What was hidden? Johnny Depp did a movie, really great movie, actually. It's one of my favorite movies. It was about, remember, he was a bookseller. And The Secret Society, it was a bookseller, and there was a satanic set of books that he had to find. Each pages had some kind of spell where you could do this, that, and the other. And it was all set in France, actually, believe it or not. That's not fucking rhetoric, okay? There is something weird. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love France, I love this. There's mysticism, but there's also some weird cultish shit that go on in Paris in particular, which you can see with Macron and his wife. It's a little bizarre. The whole, when you just look at things, does it feel right to you when you look at someone? Does it feel good to you? And if it feels wrong, then there's something, an undercurrent of energy that you may not be able to articulate, but there's something not right. There's something not good. There's something dark and nefarious about a person. And you have to just believe it and go with it. And when I look at Kennedy and I look at his eyes, I see someone who's going, I hope to God they fucking believe in me, because I'm not out to fuck him. I see in him not a fierce, like almost the eyes of a pale wolf. I see the eyes of a wolf. And if you know anything about wolves, they always take care of their pack, especially the alpha wolves. They take care of their pack. And I see this energy with him. And he's not going to quit. He's not going to throw in the towel. My client, who actually went to an event where he met Trump and he met Kennedy, straight up, he's a businessman. He said, if I was not a businessman, if I was not concerned with the bottom the bottom of my money, in other words, if all I cared about was my money, if I didn't care about my money, my business, and the taxes and all that shit, I'd vote for Kennedy without a fucking question. But because I'm a businessman, I'm going to vote for Trump, because with Trump, things are always stable financially. And I said, I don't understand. I sent him the video, by the way, I'm telling you, we're doing this whole live on. And I said, please vote with your heart. Vote with your heart, not your monkey mind. Because what we're looking now to do is we're asking, and I'm asking American business people, if you're truly a patriot, then you will vote for your heart, not with your pocketbook, not with your needs, but with the needs of this country. That's the mark of a true patriot. And that's important. So we've explained to you why his throat chakra has been damaged from trauma. We've explained to you why this is so important. And I've explained to you why the preppers are salivating, rubbing their hands, ready, with all their equipment, all their, pew-pews and all, since we have to use the stupid baby words to describe GUNS and things of that nature. They're fucking ripe. They want what you and I both know could be a civil WAR. Because if there's no resources, there's no food, there's no this, there's no that, what do you think's gonna fucking happen? And the 1% will airlift out of here. You think they're gonna stay here? No, they're gonna airlift out of here, and they'll be seeing it from satellites. Am I correct? They'll be in their beautiful homes, in their bunkers in Hawaii, Zuckerberg being a good example. They'll be ready to airlift out. And I never thought I would be speaking to you, because when Y2K happened, I knew that everything was going to be fine. Every age, 2012, I remember, oh my God, the end of the calendar, the Mayan calendar has ended. I was like, yeah, the end of the fuckery as we know it. We have a new age coming. But today, I have to tell you that, and I've said that in a couple lives, today we are on the precipice. And we either fly off into New York or we fall into worse than 3D, meaning lower than you can imagine, into what I would call a dark age. What are your thoughts? Because I don't want to be like this weird person going, yeah, the end of the world. Because there's a lot of weird ass fucking spirituals going, yeah, it's the end of the world. Pack your shit and kiss your kids goodbye. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we're at a crossroad. We have a choice. Andromeda, can you add to that? Because I really don't think, I don't want them to think that I'm saying, yeah, this is it. No, I'm saying we're at a crossroads. What are your thoughts?
We are at a crossroads. it's not like this is not a tale of, the ultimate doom, all right? But it is a choice between voting with your heart and voting with compassion versus voting with self-interest, which ultimately will not lead to your abundance, right? You were talking about your client who's a businessman. Well, if he's not operating from his heart chakra, the abundance will be temporary. And true abundance is fulfillment as well as whatever's in the bank balance. But if you're generating cash from a system which is screwing other people over, you share in that karma.
Yeah.
So we are at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads. America's at a crossroads, without doubt. But as humanity, we are also at a crossroads, because the more people who are in the vibration of love and are active in that vibration of love through their ability to vote, or their ability to look after people, or their ability to speak, have the conversations, giving homeless people your time, maybe some food or water if you can. The more people who are in that vibration, the better for humanity as a whole. And we have a bit of a mountain to climb. It's not impossible, but we have a mountain to climb, because the vibration of people like Trump, the vibration of corruption that you see in the Democrat and the Republican Party in the US, the vibration of fear, the vibration of injustice, and the vibration of what's happening elsewhere in the world, the Congo, Middle East. We have a mountain to climb in terms of improving the vibration for humanity as a whole, because there's so much shit going down at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. So who wants to share? Who wants to share their thoughts on that? I want to invite one more person on the panel. Angie, do you want to come on? Does anybody want to come on and add to the discussion of Kennedy? Because I really think this is serious. I mean, I think it's the most serious thing I've ever actually witnessed. Not since I don't even want to go into the Twin Towers and how Bush reacted. I don't even want to go into the painting that oh fuck, I forgot. My mind's a sieve this morning. It's I'm not sleeping enough. But the painting with the paper planes and the tower blocks that was in Epstein's house. They're laughing in our faces. I hope you guys know that. They're laughing in our faces, and they have been for a long time. The Twin Towers, there were some amazing documentaries, which I had bought these documentaries because I knew they would disappear, just like some other things that I've come across that have gone. And it was very interesting, some of the accusations that were flying around, and all these beautiful, fabulous young men who volunteered for the war that was created, and the grief that New York City went through, and the massive, I can't even imagine. And what my point is, that's probably the most horrific thing I've ever seen in violent action. And the second, as to me, violently, is to see homeless people in California. For me, that's been California. For you, it could be another state. But for me, California, because I have been in and out of California my entire life. Okay, so I've seen California at its most best. I remember Malibu when there were no fences separating you from the stars. No one gave a fuck about the stars, and you could ride your horse onto the beach. Okay, I remember Malibu when it was fucking Malibu. Okay, and we used to run through that whole area as children. My father and everyone knew everyone. Okay, and a movie star didn't matter. Whereas now it's become elite, crusted with fences and bullshit. You won't find a horse on that beach ever again. You got to go to Mexico for that experience, or any other country. But there's a shift, and then suddenly now you're seeing people living in like I said, in couches and tents, in RVs that are broken down, can't move. And I remember when COVID happened, I lived in Malibu and I was seeing a whole block of people by the Malibu Seafood Restaurant, which was, it's a famous restaurant. And COVID had the lockdowns were just beginning. And they were moving these people out who had lived in these vans, RVs for years. And suddenly their homes were being towed away and they had nowhere else to go. And we're hearing about all these homeless people in, say, San Francisco disappearing overnight in blocks, and other homeless people going, I haven't seen my friends since they came and did a cleanup. Where are they putting these people? And conspiracy theorists are selling Soylent Green. Soylent Green. So again, a movie, Charles Heston, it's a book. You want to check it out. I don't know. But where are these people being taken? That's not okay. And that is not a solution, whereas Kennedy wants to actually give homes. Now, you guys don't know about Jimmy Carter and Rosalind Carter, but when he retired as president of the U.S., probably the most compassionate president we've ever had, okay? He went out in his elder years working with his wife on Habitat for Humanity, and they were building homes in ghettos for people to live in, to help with homelessness. They were doing their bit for God and country, if you will, and they did it for years until they were too old to hold a hammer and hold a nail, okay? So what I want you to know is here's a man who's actually looking to do something to save us. And if you guys don't want to take the medicine and you want to go with the okey doke, then you reap what you sow. It's that simple. You reap what you sow. You will get what you deserve. Me, I got dual citizenship. I don't have to stay here and deal with it, but I will fucking vote, and I will start picking up the phone to canvass for Kennedy. I'll tell you that, because it's that important to me. It's that important to me because I don't have a problem going back to France or going to Ireland or immigrating back to my beginnings, okay? Half American, half French. I don't give a shit ultimately, but some of you are stuck here. So if I were you, I would do the best you can to convince people that the third party is the only way out of this fucking shit show, okay? Yes, they did. I met them doing that. He still taught God's work on Sundays till the very... I don't know what that is. Sorry, I'm missing something. Okay, so I don't know what that is real quick. I don't know what you're saying, really. Any other questions or comments? Anything that is part of it? President Carter. Oh, okay, got it. Thank you. Yes, they did. I met them doing that. He still taught God's word on Sundays till the very end. Beautiful. Yes. President Carter was a hell of a president. He was shamed. You know why he was shamed? Because he said he had lust in his mind. In other words, he had erotic thoughts in his mind. Oh my God. They went after him like it was a witch hunt. Every person that's ever been honest, in other words, he had never, because he had been asked, have you ever cheated on your wife? Have you ever, something like that, something inappropriate. Like, what the fuck? It's not even your problem. It's not your business. I'm a president. What I do outside my hours, if I want to have a side chick, it's not your business. It's between me and my wife, not you. But anyway, they must have asked him something to that level. And he said, I have lust in my mind. Can you imagine? And it lost him in the fucking next election. It lost the election.
Can you imagine he's human?
Yeah.
You know, and yet Trump can say what he said and nothing. Cricket.
Yeah, he can grab someone's, yoni, because I can say that. He can grab a woman's yoni and Trump, he's my president. He's the man, it's like, wake up. He's a misogynist. And his wife, God bless her soul, it's a contract. Do you develop affection with an arranged marriage? Meaning she decided, yes, I want to be taken care of, and I want to have money, and I want plastic surgery, and I want the clothes, and I want the lifestyle. I want all of that. So it's an arranged marriage, okay? You give me your beauty of your youth, you give me a son, and I'll give you all the money you need, baby. Okay, so let's be honest, okay? And yeah, there's affection here. Good, they're lucky. But I don't think she's fucking crazy about him, okay? I don't think this is a twin flame connection, okay? Let's be honest. I think it's an arrangement. And I feel as if there's no true love or affection there, honestly. And I think you've seen it in action. Whereas with Carter, you really could see, even though they were aging, getting older, getting slower, they really actually highly respected each other and loved each other. I think he's just waiting to join her. Has he died already? Because I know the last time I heard she had passed. God bless that beautiful soul. I can still see her face and her beautiful eyes. But I think he's still alive. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I haven't been, I don't know, to be honest. Because, every day it's different. He was admitting we all sin even in thought, but are forgiven is if we ask, but he was human. If we ask, I mean, I get you. Thank you for coming in, Jen Speak Pearls, and sharing that, because I wasn't sure what the context was, but I do remember the witch hunt. Every person that's ever stepped into the limelight to speak a pure truth has been attacked. Shirley MacLaine, Jimmy Carter, any other names you can think of. Every single person through history has been totally attacked. And he's being attacked. Oh, I just can't hear his voice. Or he's been attacked in the fact that he decided, which was right, not to be part of the Democratic Party. Why? Because they would have never allowed him to talk about his Marshall Plan to end poverty in this country. That would not be the Democratic Party's agenda, because the Democratic and Republican Party is owned by AIPAC. You will see next to every senator's name a little white and blue flag. Their alliance is not with us, the American people. They've made it quite clear. So it's time for us to give them all a pink slip, okay? The level of loyalty has to be to us as a people. I just saw a guy give a 2 weeks notice to a company, right? We've been all told, 2 weeks. Guess what? He gets fired on the spot. All his shit's shut down, and he's told to turn in his equipment. So the courtesy we give these corporations is never handed back to us. It's never reciprocal, nor is the government being honest and fair and kind to its people, or else you and I would not be sealing. We would not see people to the tune of 1,000 people in one block, like 4 or 5 blocks. I have footage that I need to upload just for the fuck of it, where we're driving down Sacramento, and it goes on block after block on either side, after block of people in broken down RVs, trucks, and tents, and makeshifts, and tarps, and so forth. Blocks and blocks. I've never seen that in my life. Have you? Have you, baby boomers out there? Have you seen that? Did you grow up seeing that? No, you did not. I know for a fact you never saw it. You might have seen what we call, a homeless man here and there, a hippie just doing his own thing, jumping trains, camping, exploring, doing whatever, right? We used to have a lot of teenage runaways on the streets in the 70s and 80s. Absolutely got it. But then they would be off the streets. There would be vans looking for these kids to help them, to get them off the streets, with programs to help them off drugs, prostitutions, whatever. None of that shit is successful anymore, because there's too many, and they're not teenage runaways now, you see? They're fucking old people. They're people in their 70s who can't afford to pay their rent because their social security is $690, and the rent, for a studio is $1,200 to $1,500. Not happening. And if they don't have family, they're fucked and they're on the streets, and you know it. So, all right, my loves, anything else that you want to wrap it up with?
No, I suppose, to appeal to American voters from this side of the Atlantic. America is a powerful country. What happens in this election will affect the whole of the planet.
It will.
So you have a responsibility to vote the correct way and vote with your heart. I know that there's a temptation to vote tactically to prevent the worst option of the worst and the least worst option getting in. But really, between the Democrat and Republican candidates, you have no least worst option. So go for the best.
Go for the best. And you boomers out there, I'm a boomer. My twin was a boomer, okay? You boomers out there, and you better do better. We need your voice. You are the elders. You remember what this country looked like. These kids are actually, oh my God, the 80s were so great. No, they fucking weren't great. They were never great. Because in the 80s, I would walk out of Macy's on Union Square, and I would see homeless people outside, and I would go to a hot dog stand and say, stand right there and say, how many hot dogs do you want? 4, great. How many sodas? Do you have any water? No, I don't have water, just soda. Okay. And pay in front and then have the person take their food so they could eat. I was 23, 24 years old. It was never great. It's gotten tragically, dangerously worse than I've ever seen in my life. Okay? So let's do better, boomers. Stop showing your fucking dance moves and start talking about what the 80s were about. There was no reset in the 80s. I don't know why these spirituals are going, oh, something happened, the world ended, and then we went through a time warp. No, we didn't. Well, or if we did, the time warp is worse than we could have ever fathomed. Okay? So let's do better as boomers. We are the elders. It is our job and our responsibility to the youngins, to the young Starseeds that are here to kick doors, the ones that are irreverent, don't give a fuck about rules. We need to educate them ASAP. Kamala fucked her way to the top. I'm sorry, that's what happened. Trump is looking to add billions to the trillions for the family lineage. I'm sorry, that's his consciousness. And then we have one man who is pleading for us to look past his throat chakra, look past the fact that it's third party, and vote with our hearts and vote for a new earth. And a new earth is a third party. It doesn't come from the D party or the R party. It won't come from that. The new earth can't come from that. And that's why to be a spiritualist, you have to now get involved politically. You have to. And if you're not, as a spiritualist, if you're just throwing fucking tarot and just doing $5 yes/no readings, shame on fucking you, because you're not a real spiritualist. You are not a spiritualist. You are not a spiritual coach, a life coach. You are not any of those, because if you are, you would understand that the infrastructure we have is preventing our ascension. That means that it's your business to lead us into the right path as a spiritual life coach, as a spiritual twin flame life coach, as any fucking spiritual person. I don't care if you're throwing tarot, you're psychic, you're doing numerology, whatever the fuck you're doing, do better. Do better. We all need to start talking. Stop the bullshit. Stop fucking pandering to what people want right now. Get them out of their complacency and get them to wake up, please, because this is not going to work itself into its own. It's not. It has to be built. We have to claim it. We have to not consent to the bullshit and say, this is what we're walking towards. This is what we want. And we claim it now as our new earth, as our new reality into 5D. Without that, without banging the drums to the great awakening, we will not make it. Okay? And there will be a split. And the split will be very different than what you think. Okay? Some of us will move into other lands, other 5D realities that will fall away from this. And what we're trying to do is get the whole planet into 5D, the whole planet into 5D, and leave the garbage behind to dissolve into their own sense of what is going to happen to them. But for the rest of us who want to build something, we're going to have to get politically involved. Do I like politics? Fuck no. But what can you do? This is the infrastructure that has kept us, muzzled for 13,000 years and beyond. All right. Last comments, and I'll sign off. Yes, vote Kennedy all the way. Hello, Tony Andromeda. Thank you, as always. Peace and love to you. Thank you, my lovely man.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. You finish, and then I'll sign off.
Last words. Like this is about the consciousness of the whole planet, and we all of us hold this in our hands. This is not about sitting in a circle singing Kumbaya and throwing a few tarot cards. This is real, and it is now. And we either stand up, be counted, have our voice heard, bring us closer to a state of consciousness that will allow 5D consciousness to be dominant, or we sit back and we pat ourselves in the back and, in a self-satisfied way, look at our bank balance because Trump has lowered our taxes.
Yeah.
But it's just not good enough, and it won't wash anymore. So take your responsibility seriously.
Thank you. On that note, sending much love on your journey. Namaste. This will be uploaded on YouTube today. Please share with everyone you know. All right. Blessings to you all.